We are in the Puck Sports Studios, built by Limback Lumber, family owned and serving the Northwest since 1930. The Northwest premier supplier of specialized lumber and molding. Summer is here. That means it's deck and fence season. You can contact the fine folks at Limback Lumber, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbacklumber.com. Puck Sports Studios, built by Limback Lumber. It's a Friday. That means it's the Ryan Divish Show, which is brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941, located in Tacoma's Proctor District. Family owned and operated for 40 years. Frederick family and staff specialize in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience. While their unique 12-lane facility, go to chaletbowl.com to make your next reservation. Ryan Divish, follow him on X at Ryan Divish. You can follow me at Puck2040. And where do we find you today?
Well, in a better place than Jim Moore, apparently. I am actually in Lethbridge, Alberta, the jewel of southern Alberta.
Yeah.
And I'm here because, I call him my stepson. I'm not officially his stepdad. I'm more of his step-rad, as Tim Booth, because I'm the cool guy. But, he's got a district tournament game for Legion, and so they're playing today. Adam Jude is in Chicago covering it. It was really interesting last night. They got to see the trade process when my phone started blowing up at 10:30 p.m. last night. I'm about 4 crowns deep, and I'm texting every scout because we got a heads up that the trade was going to happen. There was a trade happening. We didn't know who. And it's funny, I called a couple guys or texted a couple guys, and one guy I texted, I was like, "Are you making a trade with the Mariners or not?" And I said, and I got no response. I said, "I will accept your silence as a yes." And so. But that's where I was down to. So
okay, so I think people, Ryan, would be real interested in the process of it. I'm like you. I'm just I'm sitting back on the back deck. I'm watching Sports Center, and I don't know. I'm getting voicemails ready for Friday's Daily Puck Drop, and I just happened to look at Twitter. I see something from Jude talking about, hey, the Mariners, this was from earlier, hey, the Mariners are exploring possibilities. The outfield looks like it could be it. And then I look at Twitter again, and then on the right-hand section, things trending, Arozarena traded to Seattle. I'm like, what? And it's I think it was around 10:30 or something like that. And I look at it, and I can't believe the first thing I see is Ken Rosenthal, even though I know Jude had it first. I see Ken Rosenthal announcing the deal. I think listeners, and I would like to know this, and viewers, the process. You said you were tipped off to it. What's the timeline? You guys are tipped off when?
Usually when they're at the finish line or near the finish line of a deal, you get tipped off.
But what was the time? 10 o'clock-ish, 9:30?
I think it was 9:45, maybe 10 o'clock, because I don't know exactly what time it went down. That's mountain time, But I'd heard something, and then Adam texted me, goes, "Hey, I'm hearing they might make a deal." And I go, "Yeah, I heard the same." So, we're just kind of, and I don't know what the time frame was, if he found out before I did, but, I don't, I'll hear about talks and stuff and being close, but the number of times where I've heard, they've been close to a deal and it never happens and never materializes is pretty high. So, I don't go all certain national baseball writers and say I'm hearing this, hearing that, because I'd rather be right than first. So, I kind of just was, but when you hear it from certain people that you trust, then okay, this is almost going to happen. So then you're I think the inner workings of who it was that the Mariners were acquiring came out maybe 20 minutes after, maybe 30 minutes after we got kind of the heads up that something was going down. And then about an hour after we got the heads up, then the official thing got released. But usually it's the one thing is if you notice though, when it comes to the Mariners, a lot of times we are just as up on the news because the Mariners are pretty, I wouldn't say leak proof, but they're just paranoid enough not to have guys leak to the national guys like Passan or Kenny and and I don't think that the Mariners front office loves Rosenthal and Heyman after some of the stuff they've written. But yeah, so it was, I always think Passan's going to get it. And he's my boy, so I'm happy when he does. But sometimes you're just playing catch up because there are organizations that prefer, and agents a lot of times prefer to leak it to the national media over because it's, scratch your back type of thing. It's the Schefter thing that we've seen, or the
Yeah,
Woj thing. So,
sure.
but yeah, so we heard, and then you kind of knew who they were talking to in the last week or so and what fit and what didn't. And I had people within the Mariners tell me, look, with Julio out, and, they needed an outfielder anyways. And then that became a more of a priority, is to get an outfielder. And then, that was what they were looking at, because they felt like they could fill that quickly. And I mean, they've done the dance with Arozarena multiple times,
Right.
and so it's like they finally found a way that it works. And honestly, I was surprised that Harry Ford wasn't in the deal. I mean, like the guys they gave up are younger. They're low A guys. I mean, they have a ton of upside. I really like this Aiden Smith. And I was telling a friend that worked for the Rays, I'm like, you just got like the combo of Brandon Lau and Josh Lowe, those lefties that can really hit and run. That's what this kid could profile as eventually. Now, that's a long ways to get to that point, but we've seen what the Rays can do with certain guys, and so this kid is good. And then Brody Hopkins was a two-way player when he was drafted. He is considered the best athlete in the organization. Not just pitcher athlete, the best
Huh.
athlete. His 60 time was faster than Julio's. He has the highest. He has
Good
something like a
Lord.
40. He has something like a 42-inch vertical jump, and like all the testing that they do, that spark kind of Nike testing they do for football players that some Seahawks fans jerk themselves off over on Twitter. They do similar like stuff like that at the Mariners, and Brody Hopkins tested higher than any player they had in the organization. He's that good of an athlete. So, he throws low to mid 90s, and they feel like because he's so athletic, he'll throw harder and he'll be able to, add pitches and adjust because he's so athletic. But I mean, they're real prospects they gave up. They just weren't the known prospects that everybody else knows.
Yeah, but but it's a good trade. I mean, I think it's a good trade. I mean, it's a good trade in terms of they gave up their 12th and 22nd ranked prospect, so they didn't have to dip in anything that was top 10. Did you think it would have taken a top 10 prospect to get a Rosarina from them?
I thought it would be like a top 10, and then they would go lower on the other parts of the return, instead of like one top 10 and maybe a bottom of your top 30, and then maybe a young guy. But these guys went two mid-level prospects, and then I've been told that like the player to be named later, a lot of times it's based on like how a Rosarena would do. But I think this is a situation where they're just trying to sift through and get one more scouting check on a list of players that the Mariners are willing to part with, and then go from there and make a decision, similar to what they did with Brash. When they got Brash, like they had a list of names they wanted, then they went and checked them, and then they chose Brash when they got him for Taylor Williams. So that's kind of where they're at there. But I've been told that like the list of names, all of them are ranked below Brody
Okay.
Hopkins, who's 19. So, it's probably a low A or a pitcher in the rookie complex league. I know people have talked about this kid named Walter Ford, another high school kid named Teddy McGraw, who's coming off Tommy John, maybe somebody like that.
Okay, so the trade itself, do you think this is it
No.
for the Mariners in terms of a big name? Or do you think they'll make another minor move, or people still holding out hope? Can they pry Vlad away from Toronto or Robert away from the White Sox?
Yeah, I think the market may dictate that it won't be another big name. I mean, Yandy Diaz is now available, and he might not have been, but like, if he's available now, they should look at him too with the Rays. Like they've already done the deal. Everybody knows all the parts. Go get them both. Vlad will be interesting. I know they've talked with the Blue Jays, and I know they've made an offer to the Blue Jays. I mean, you always make an offer. Here's what we're willing to do within reason, and like when Juan Soto was available, they offered, I think, 5 players for Juan Soto, similar to the Padres. It was just a different kind of package. And that package included Logan Gilbert back in the day. Like, it was
Including Logan Gilbert for who?
for Juan Soto back when he was with the Nats and they were going to trade him. They put together a package. He always put together a package, and it's probably not all that you're willing to give, but you put together a package you think is fair, and then you
Sure.
hope that they're dumb enough to say yes, I guess, or desperate
What
enough
do you
to say
think the
yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Oh,
there.
yeah.
I didn't mean to step on you there. My bad. What do you think the package is? What do you think they've offered to Toronto for Guerrero?
Oh, I'm sure it's got Harry Ford and Emerson Hancock in it, and then probably, you know, one of the infielders, whether it's Cole Young or Celestin or those guys. I mean, obviously Farmelo is hurt, Celestin is hurt, so that probably removes them from the, the equation. But yeah, I'm sure that it's got Cole Young and Harry Ford in it. You know, if you're talking about a premium guy like Vlad, I mean, the Blue Jays are in a position because it's not like they really have to trade him. Like
Yeah.
the thing with the Arozarena is he gets really expensive next year, and the Rays are cash strapped. So
Right.
that's the reason why they're willing to move him. And so like the Blue Jays don't have to move him. They have money. You know, they don't have to do those things. And so it's just a whether want to or not. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be 4 guys, I'm sure. You get him for a year and a half, which is what's similar to what. And it might not be like, so if
But
you include Cole Young and Harry Ford, then maybe it is lesser guys. You know, it's all
yeah.
levels.
Yeah, because when you said, I mean, because you just the what you said, you're talking about your 1 and 2 prospects in Young and Ford,
Yeah.
Hancock, and then Celestin is what, like 5,
6.
6?
I
Yeah.
think there's a feeling in the organization, though, that Colt Emerson is their best overall prospect, and that
Huh.
Farmelo is probably the number 2.
Okay.
Emerson is like, so the whole floor ceiling thing, like Cole Young has got a high floor and is going to be good because he's consistent, but the power quotient maybe not going to be there the way that Colt Emerson's power would be there. Like Colt Emerson could project to be a 25 to 30 home run guy, whereas
Mm-hmm.
as Cole Young projects to be 10 to 20. And there's a lot of people that don't believe that Cole Young is a full-time shortstop.
How much better does a Rosarena make this team, specifically offensively?
I mean, it depends on what version of a Arozarena you're getting. But the Arozarena that's been hitting for the last month, it's kind of been like that for his career. 1, he's not afraid of the big moments. 2, he
Right.
can hit good pitching. You know, and 3, like he does hit with some power. I mean, like with Julio out and JP out, and you know these other guys struggling, you got to have something in the middle. Like you're batting Jorge Polanco 3, and you know, and Cal 4, and they're like, what reason do you have to pitch to those guys right now? The guys behind them. So yeah, I think he makes them better. I don't think it'll be the only piece. I think they're going to get another hitter. I think they're going to get a reliever. It's just a matter of whether or not they can, you know, get the matches or who's available. I don't know if it'll be Luis Robert. You know, I think the ask is ridiculous from what everybody's saying. Same with Vlad. And I don't think it'll be Jazz Chisholm because I just don't think it's a fit. But there are other guys out there that can help him. Hell, like somebody like Kerry Carpenter for the Tigers, kind of a more of a right-handed bat, but a platoon guy. You know, he helps. I mean, like sometimes you have to get better on the margins because, like, you know, you're trying to get better throughout the lineup, not just one guy that does a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's I think it'd be fascinating to watch here in the next few days to see what they do, right? Because they if they want to make another splash, right? If they want to, they still have the capital to do so.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the big thing about only giving up those 2 guys and whatever the player to be named later. They can still make a big move if they
Yeah.
really wanted to. If there was somebody willing to do it and the other side wanted, they could do it. They could bring in the kind of aircraft carrier big name. You know, I don't know. That would be good if they can do it. If not, you know, they still have enough depth in the organization to make periphery moves. You know, like we talked about, they still need a backup catcher. Like they
Yeah.
need to make that move. You know, they probably, you know, like, is it a first base fit? Yeah, probably a first base fit. I mean, like you're running Tyler Locklear out there now, but I mean, that's not what you really want. A rookie trying to do this. So find a way to, you know, get something else and make your lineup better. I mean, I just think like I think any adding at this point is still good, especially based on what you're giving up. And like these periphery pieces, you might not have to give up as much, but like, does it still make you better? Or are you still like, right now they're running out half of Tacoma's lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, and what's coming, you know, besides Julio and JP coming back, like, are you really excited about Canzone coming back at this point? He's been dinged up. He hasn't really had a lot of consistency.
I've
So it's like,
forgotten that he was on the team still.
so I mean, you know, do they call up or they try and make a deal for Lane Thomas and Nats have relievers like Dylan Floro. Do you try and make a deal for Lane Thomas and Dylan Floro to do that? I mean, there are some things to be creative with. It isn't just, you know, Vlad Guerrero. You know,
Right.
I mean, we
How
really weren't even talking about a Arozarena that much as an option.
no.
Everybody was talking about Paredes and Diaz.
Well, even this week on Monday's show, Jim was saying that this was that the Mariners were talking to Tampa Bay, but they're not all that interested in their right-handed bats.
Yeah.
And that he didn't understand. He's like, well, who cares? Like, and maybe that was more about Paredes because of, all his pull power. But he just said that he didn't seem his impression was they weren't that enamored with their right-handed bats. They were specifically looking for a left-handed bat. But I mean, obviously, with the acquisition of Arozarena, they were interested in him and they landed him. Maybe they danced with Paredes and they couldn't pull it off because they wanted way too much for him.
I kind of liken it, Puck, to, Jim Moore always talks about going out in Idaho and going to the bars of Idaho. At 2 a.m., if he's looking to go home with somebody, you're past the point of being too specifically picky.
Mm-hmm.
You take what's available.
Yeah, good call. The defense. Okay, I'll get to his defense in a second because it's something to be desired with the Arozarena. People are going to have to get prepared for some plays out in left field with him. But where does he slot in? Do you hit him cleanup? Where do you hit him?
I had 3 or 4. I would think so. You can hit him in between Cal and Polanco because those are both switch hitters. So you can do it that way. I think that's where they'll do it. It'll be different when Julio comes back as well. And as far as the defensively goes, you're not good at it.
No, he's not.
I don't know if it's indifference or what. My favorite thing is do you ever notice when a pitcher gives up a mammoth tank, he doesn't even move, he just crosses his arms and stands there? I always wonder how that's going to play out. George Kirby gives up a tank and he looks at Arozarena just standing there staring at it, not moving. I don't know how that's going to happen.
Well, I don't know. I would deem it or classify as kind of sometimes a lackadaisical effort to get the ball back in to the infield, especially the cutoff. There was a play. I was watching MLB Network earlier today, and they play where I don't know who was. It was an Orioles. It was a ball hit to left field. The guy tagged up from second.
Yeah,
and made it to third on him.
Yeah, I think, though, maybe the clubhouse culture helps a little bit. You get into a situation where you're really competing and stuff. Though the Rays were competing too, but, it just, who knows? But, again, the Mariners are past the point of being picky. They got to.
No, that's true.
They got to take what they can get. So you're willing to give up some defense if you get some offense, if he provides it.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Especially once you get Julio back, just have, hey, Julio, he's going to go from his spot to the line. You get everything else to your left or right, whatever. Just go get it. They've done that before too. This is an organization that started Abanez in left field. So,
how's the update of the Legion baseball game for the not quite stepson?
They're playing like the 2010 Mariners, maybe the 2019 Mariners defensively. So it's pretty ugly.
Yeah, pretty ugly. Are we missing balls? Are we errors? Are we missing cutoffs? What are we doing?
It's a little bit of everything. I used to coach this team, this Legion team back in the day.
Yeah.
And I would have been having a meltdown now.
Did you coach some of these kids?
No, I work with some of them in the off season.
Okay.
No. I'm trying to be a normal parent and not snap. But yesterday, after the starter gave up hits on the first pitch, gutted fastballs on the first pitch to 7 consecutive batters, maybe you should try something a little different because this shit isn't working.
You yelled that from the stands?
Yeah. I'm that guy.
Oh, you're that parent?
Yeah.
Oh,
some of the parents are
like,
some of the parents are like, you should come back and coach. I'm like, I don't think you'd like me as a coach.
Oh, come on. You can't do that.
They're 17. I can yell at them that way.
Okay. Who do you have, if it's not a big name, do you have targets who you think they would look at? Jansen from Toronto, the backup catcher.
Yeah.
Obviously a bullpen arm.
Yeah, if they really were desperate, but like Josh Bell can't play first base. He seems to have eaten himself into a designated hitter position. So I don't know. Like I said, Kerry Carpenter of the Tigers. Nobody somebody that maybe is on the margins. People have mentioned Mark Canna and stuff like that. But now that they got Arozarena, I would think they wouldn't mind having a left-handed hitting first baseman or a guy that could play first and outfield, similar to Rayleigh, so they don't have to use Rayleigh at first. But I just, it's hard to see where. I mean, Yandy Diaz would be a great fit for him too. I just don't know if he's going to get that.
Yeah.
Like Joey Meneses from the Nats doesn't really turn the dial or anything like that either. So he's kind of in a weird spot.
Okay, so where does this put him? Where does this put the team right now? When Julio comes back and is healthy, JP, is this just like, hey, can we survive until we get JP back, and then we have Randy Arozarena here? They need to stay within what kind of margin of Houston before those guys all come back?
I think you tread water till Julio comes back. I mean, like
Okay.
JP wasn't giving you a ton anyways, so it's like you tread water till Julio comes back, and then go. And maybe you do add pieces, but you get the pieces, add that, and then go from there.
Okay. The moves that they would make in terms of, okay, let's say they don't move Harry Ford. I'm curious about this one. I brought this up to Jim Moore when he was on the side of the road in Bend. And in our discussions, you and I, that we've had all baseball season, you've been adamant, or just with the idea that they will trade Harry Ford at the deadline. If they don't trade him, does that now start to turn to they may seriously think about trading Raleigh in the offseason?
No, I don't think that leads to that. No, it's just like, I mean, they could make a move in the offseason to trade Harry Ford just as much too. I don't think they're going to trade Cal. I think they know what he means to the organization.
Okay.
And I don't think they're in a position where they want to do that. They don't have to for a while. They're in a position where they're still getting pretty good money and value out of him, so I don't think so.
There is Mark Feinsand, who covers Major League Baseball, MLB.com. You just mentioned this name, but again, Yandy Diaz expected to be moved. Ray's expected to listen to deals, and Feinsand reports that the Astros, Pirates, and Mariners are all potential trade partners. What is that? What do you think that costs to get him?
Oh, probably a couple guys, maybe similar to what Arozarena cost. He's older,
Okay.
and I don't think he has as much club control, so I think that's part of it. I'd have to
Okay.
look and see, but he's like 34, 33. But the one thing is like he gets on base at about 350 a clip, traditionally for his career. He's not great defensively either, but like you don't have great defense there now, so you'd rather have some help there offensively. So yeah, I don't know exactly what it costs, but it won't be. I don't think it'd be as much because he's older and I don't think he has as much club control. But I mean, like the Rosarena club control, like he's going to get real expensive here in a little bit, So.
Yeah. Well, he's 32 years of age. His on base is down a little bit this year, but last year 410. Mainly in his career, he's been a 400 on base guy. So it would be an upgrade there at first base, certainly. All right, we're gonna let you get back to your Legion baseball viewing. Ryan Divish with us every Wednesday and Friday. It's brought to you by Chalet Bowl. We're going to be following you. We're going to be following you on X at Ryan Divish. I'm sure Adam Jude will have it covered there at the Seattle Times as well. But again, I just want to recap before we talk to you again next week and the trade deadline. You expect them to make another move or two, but secondary moves, maybe not another major move like a Arozarena.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if the opportunity is going to be there. I don't know is Yandy Diaz a major move? I don't know. I mean, I guess he's sort of major, but like the Guerrero thing, yeah, they're very interested, but I don't know that Toronto wants to part with him.
Yeah.
They're going to want a king's ransom for it.
Okay.
So.
Follow him on X at Ryan Divish. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Puck2040. Also on TikTok at Puck_sports, and of course on Facebook. The Ryan Divish podcast, brought to you by Chalet Bowl, releases every Wednesday and Friday on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Please like, follow, subscribe, and comment away. You can also find all of the content up at Pucksports.com. We'll talk to you next week. See you, bud.
All right. See you, man.